Welcome to the Motorsports Today content dump from our 2024 trip to Pocono Raceway. I'm Eddie Kalegi. First off, a thank you to WRSU-FM New Brunswick and the fine folks at Pocono and NASCAR for making this possible. Myself, Tim Moore, and Adam Tropper witnessed 3 races and talked to 26 different drivers throughout the weekend. What follows is some of the best of our coverage. We started things off on Friday by visiting the Big Machine Racing hauler and checking in with Parker Kligerman, a NASCAR Xfinity Series full-time driver. Here's that conversation. Here at Pocono Raceway, Motorsports Today, Eddie Kalegi, Adam Tropper here with you on a Friday. Xfinity Series tomorrow. With us now, he drives for Big Machine Racing full-time. Parker Kligerman, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate you being here.
So first question, Pocono Raceway, I mean, one of the more unique tracks on the circuit. What do you enjoy most about this place?
It's high speed. You know, it's incredibly fast. That straightaway, the front stretch is insanely fast, and it's just one of those times a race car you're like, you know, I am going very fast. So I think we approached 190 some odd mile an hour down there. So that's fast. And then, you know, it's a unique place, as you mentioned, with 3 corners that are vastly different from each other. So you have to sort of adapt and sort of change your style in each of those corners, have the car work in each of those corners. So it's just a really difficult place, but it's fun.
Yeah. Speaking of unique, last week was the Chicago street race, and you had your best finish of the season. So just how do you feel about that, being able to build off of the momentum going into Pocono, and just the environment once again at the street course in year 2?
Yeah, I loved it, man. I thought that event is so cool. I love being in a street course. There's a lot of passing zones, which really surprised me. You know, we didn't get to really experience that last year, but the passing zones were there because stock cars, you know, you can just sort of take real estate from people. And you'll get to a corner like turn 7 where only one car can fit. So it's really, if you can get a little speed advantage and just get beside the person, they have to give you the spot because you can't go through there too wide. So I actually enjoyed that a lot. I thought it was a lot of fun. And I hope we go back. I hope we keep street course racing because stock cars on street courses was really badass.
Absolutely. And like I said, I'm very biased when it comes to the Chicago street course.
Yeah,
you remember from last year. But.
Yeah, and I can imagine now, if Chicago isn't the place where it continues, what are some other cities or maybe in the future that you might like to see some street course racing at? Because clearly Chicago got excited by this place. The fans were there. What are some places you might want to see some racing at?
First of all, what is that ding?
Submarine.
Oh, okay. Got it, cool. I'm just curious what that is. I've never heard it before until right now. Other places we'd like to see a street course. Manhattan. I have this crazy idea that like down in Fidei you could do it because it's basically a ghost town on the weekends, and that event is basically they close the road Friday night and it's opened again by Monday morning. So I feel like Fidei would be absolutely insane. Which is the financial district of Manhattan. I think if you're going to do New York, you got to be proper Manhattan, which is going to, you know, it's a huge tall order. But if you can make it happen in Chicago, I don't see any reason you couldn't make it happen in New York. That would be insane. I'd love that. Other than that, I mean, I don't know another city that sticks out to me in that sense that doesn't already have a street course or something like it. I think NASCAR is America's motorsport. New York is the financial center of the world. Those two need to be together. Let's make it happen in Manhattan.
Hey, as a New Yorker myself, I would absolutely love that. I mean, that would be dream numero uno right there. But just in terms of how this season's going, very up and down at certain points, but we're heading into that playoff push now. 6 races left in regular season. You have a decent amount of points above the cut line, but just how are you feeling where you are right now, and just being able to, one, race for wins any given week, and two, just where you think you stack up against the other guys on the cut line?
Yeah, I think we're in a really good spot points-wise. My goal was to be points-wise 7th by the Olympic break, so we've got this one and Indy next. I think these are 2 opportunities for us to win. So I really think any weekend we show up, we have an opportunity to win, but especially these 2, especially Indy with the package they're bringing there. That one would mean a lot to me personally. This one would mean a lot because it's my home race. So we've got a bit of momentum. We've had, you know, really great speed, great finishes in the last couple of months. We're way ahead of where we were last year in almost every single metric. Actually, the only thing I think we're behind is finishing position. Like our average finish is worse, but we have so many more points from running better and getting stage points and that sort of thing. So I think we're doing a lot of great things as a race team, and therefore the playoff bubble is not something I'm paying attention as much as, hey, how far up can we get here points wise, so we seed ourselves well in the playoffs, and where are we going to get that elusive win.
Yeah, and Parker, as for strategy, we know Pocono is a track that's hard on tires, and we see people try different things. So being in your position, 61 points up on the cut line, do you think this is a week where stage points might matter a little bit more and we might see people try different things?
Well, this place is unique in that it offers different strategies because, like a road course, you can pit without going a lap down if you're within a certain delta to the leader. So that's about 10 seconds. So, if you're running 8th, you might flip a stage because you're 8 seconds behind the leader. You're going to pit, flip the stage, forgo the stage points, but you're going to restart way up front. So that's kind of the strategy here. I think for us, stage points are definitely important, but we always weigh where our decision-making is. If we can win the race, go for the win. If we can't, go for the stage points. Or if we don't think we can, or if we think, hey, our chance of winning this race is not as high as let's just get a bunch of points. So that's what Patrick Donahue and Cody McKenzie do on the box, and we kind of make those determinations at the times that we realize, hey, this is where we stack up. And we got to be realistic. Sometimes it's a hard discussion to say, hey, we're 10th, and that's where we're going to run, so let's go get as many stage points as we can. Other times it's like, hey, we're running 10th, but we've got a top 3 car. We could win this thing. Let's go for the win. So that's really the evaluation we'll make tomorrow when we're in the race.
Should be a fun weekend here at the Tricky Triangle. Parker, last question for you.
Yeah.
Chicago was a big race for the cars on track, but also we saw the debut in the public of the electric vehicle. So, of course, that's something that NASCAR is exploring. We don't exactly know what the future of that car is. What are your thoughts on it?
Thought it looked really cool. I saw some people, knocking the look, but up close and personal, I thought it was awesome. They had some cool LED lighting around it. I love the idea of 1,300 horsepower. I think it's what it's capable of. Like, hell yeah, sign me up. I think electric racing has a place in time. I believe it will be something that, as motorsports as a whole, and as we've seen with Formula E, is going to be a thing. And I think the real cool thing is what Formula E has done, and what I believe NASCAR would go down this path if they did do this, which is the idea of, like, what can you change because it's electric, right? What can you do different? What can you do to improve the show and make it different than it is a combustion engine? I do believe the combustion engine, though, should live on as long as we possibly can, especially with, the clean fuels that are being made and the e-fuels out there that are zero emission. So I think that's kind of like, to me, the internal combustion engine is like horse racing. That horse hasn't been a viable form of transportation in 125 years, but we still race horses. We're going to still race the internal combustion engine. I think relevancy to the road is important, but that's what we're seeing from the consumer side is that, consumers are choosing hybrid, they're choosing EV, they're choosing gasoline-powered, and it's an assortment. It's not all or one, right? So, or all nothing. So I think that's a really cool place for racing to be because we're the test bed for that. And, NASCAR has proven they can make one. We also race internal combustion engines. Possibly there's a hybrid in there somewhere as well. So I think the options are available, which is a great place to be.
Well, that's the future, but the present, racing this weekend at Pocono Raceway. This guy, Parker Kligerman, trying to make the NASCAR Xfinity Series playoffs. Parker, thanks for the time. Best of luck this weekend.
Thanks, guys. Great to see you. Have fun.
The on-track action got rolling Friday night with the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, taking on the Tricky Triangle for 70 laps. 2 Cup Series drivers were in the field, including Ross Chastain. Ross spoke with Tim Moore after his top 5 finish about what he can take from this one into the rest of the weekend.
You guys started 27th and worked your way through the field. Did it make it easier having that wide playbook throughout this race to see something, to test yourself for Sunday?
I mean, it's just fun to pass race cars. I don't care if I'm in a wheelbarrow race or a NASCAR race. I like passing people. It's the competition is why I do this. So Phil handles all that. He just told me pit or don't pit.
Any similarities to what we should expect at least for Sunday in terms of the conditions or what you felt on track?
Yeah, it felt like Pocono to me. Nothing stood out. Second lane's there to spray, so I think Xfinity and Cup cars will get it worked even more. It was a little dirty still, so I was a little nervous being up there. But it's good old Pocono. We got done before sunset.
But nobody could stop Corey Heim, who was the bridesmaid to Kyle Busch in this race a year ago and now became a 5-time winner in the 2024 Craftsman Truck Series season. Corey, Eddie Kalegi, Motorsports Today, great job today. Last year, circling back to Davey's question, you had a fierce battle with Kyle Busch, one of the best, and you ended up falling short. So what specifically were you able to learn from and take away from that race to be able to close the deal with this late restart tonight?
Yeah, I think that whole scenario with the last lap was more of a, in general, learning experience. I think I kind of got a little bit too comfortable with where I was at situationally, and I thought I had a big enough gap to where he was never going to be able to make it to my inside regardless. So clearly that didn't work out for me, and I've just kind of learned to understand that's never over till it's over. And today in this last restart, I feel like since they got together in one, second and third place it definitely gave me some more room to never really have to worry about that. But at the end of the day, you never really know what could happen. I could start losing fuel, come to the line and have to defend then. It's just, you learn the hard way that it's never over till it's over. So definitely a life lesson there.
Tropper, Motorsports Today. First off, congratulations, Corey. So kind of as a follow-up to that last question, actually, just what do you think it says about you just in general? Like you said, you're taking it week by week, but just being able to have 5 wins this season already, only a little over halfway through the truck season. Just from your perspective, what do you think people are thinking of you right now?
I hope good things. It's been a good year for me. I try to keep myself a little under the radar compared to last year. Definitely didn't end the season like I wanted to, and came back with redemptions on our minds to have the best season possible. And it's been a lot more up and down than last season. I feel like we were really big on consistency and maybe didn't get the wins that we wanted or deserved, but we finished up front every week. And this year it's kind of been hit or miss, but wins are everything in the sport, and we've definitely got that down. So I'm hoping to get some more by the time the season's over.
Well deserved. Thank you.
Big picture, you sit 32 points out of the points lead with 2 races to go in the regular season. Do you still feel you guys have a shot at this regular season title?
Yeah, I'd say so. I feel like 32 points, that definitely have to make Christian have a bad week at some point, regardless of how good we do. But you never know. Once again, like I touched on earlier, it's not over till it's over. And, I feel like we've deserved to be the points leader by now, just with our disqualification and the whole mess there and some other races and whatnot. But it's not what the scenario is, and we got to go fight for it. So today was big for us. Christian had a good day as well, so not making our lives easy, but it's going to carry into the playoffs as well, so it should be good.
And just to follow up with that, would you feel it would be an extreme disappointment if you guys don't win the regular season title, especially after what happened at Charlotte?
No, more would be a lot more disappointed if we didn't win the one at the end of the year. I think that's the main priority.
A friend of the program was also in the field Friday and again for Saturday's Xfinity race as Stephen Mallozzi got set to run 2 races in one weekend for the first time in his NASCAR career. I checked in with him after sitting in the Xfinity car for the very first time on Saturday morning. Saturday morning here at Pocono Raceway, the Tricky Triangle. This guy right here, he's doing double duty for the very first time. Our guy Stephen Mallozzi. Stephen, how's it going?
Good. I'm happy to be here and excited to be running double duty.
Yeah, 2 races. It started on Friday with the Craftsman Truck Series in the RBR truck. Got some time on the track. What did you take away from that one?
Yeah, so I took away a lot, I thought, and then I realized after I stepped foot in that Xfinity car that it's pretty different. They're not the Xfinity car is way faster in a straight line. You got to use brake in the Xfinity car. You don't really have to in the truck, and it's way looser, man. It's like a loose race car. But, we're going to learn a lot today, and I think by the end of the race, we'll be where we need to be.
Yeah, and on that subject, when we spoke to you a couple weeks ago, you talked about how Martinsville, going back there a second time, you felt a little more comfortable with the track. Now, for the first time, you're going to be racing at the same track 2 days in a row. So while the car is different, do you think the experience of at least knowing what these 3 turns have to offer and having that fresh in your mind is going to help?
Yeah, I'm I almost said a bad word there. The poop isn't scared out of me, like it was the first time I was at Pocono, because going into turn 1 is intimidating, right? When you're looking at turn 3 and it's just 15 seconds of throttle time. I'm not afraid of that anymore. It's just a matter of I really want to do a good job for these guys at Joey Gase, and I want to make sure that everyone ends up happy with the result. And I want to bring the race car home in one piece. It means a lot that Joey reached out to me to drive this thing, and I want to make sure he gets rewarded for picking me. So, yeah.
So, of course, this is one of your home tracks. This is one of my home tracks. And for the longest time, it had 2 dates on the schedule. That's not the case anymore. Is this a track you'd like to see a second date come back to?
Yes and no. Yes, I think if any track deserves a second date, this is probably one of them at this point in NASCAR's existence. You look at this infield and it is comparable to Talladega in the amount of people who are here and the partying and the fun and the energy. It's awesome. I love it. It is like I said, outside of Talladega, it's the best infield in NASCAR. No, because I am of the idea that most tracks probably shouldn't have 2 dates, right? We should be trying to expand our horizons and going to places that are new and that can attract new fans. But I think if we're going to stick to 2 tracks, Pocono should be one of those, yeah.
I want to get your thoughts quickly as well. NASCAR debuted that electric vehicle to the public last week. We don't really know what the future of that car is, but what are your thoughts on the prototype that we saw in Chicago?
If I know anything about NASCAR's fan base, some of them will be hesitant to accept an electric vehicle. However, if it's the direction the world is going, you got to keep up with the times, right? We don't keep Chevy Monte Carlos in NASCAR anymore because they're not a car, right? And if there's only electric vehicles on the road in 25 years, then what's the point of running a V8 motor in NASCAR? Now, I think there will always be a niche place for the V8 motor and for what we're doing here, no matter how far away we get with electric vehicles, because, they're badass. Like, there's no other way to put it. So, yeah, I think there might be a future for it, but I could also see a pathway where it's just something we have in the bank if we need it and don't really use it because what we have right now is working so well.
Well, this is a monumental weekend for you. 2 races for the first time. Will you be celebrating at Outback after this debut?
Outback's got to open a location near Pocono Raceway. Yeah, I've given out more Bloomin' Onions than I've ever given out in my life this weekend. I obviously did the truck autograph signing yesterday and the Xfinity one today, and I gave out like 1,000 Bloomin' Onions to people. So if they had a location, they'd be flooded after this race. Maybe they need to find a franchisee to open one up. But yeah, I will be going to Outback at some point. Maybe not today, but definitely in the next couple of days to celebrate.
So you've had Icy Bird here as well, along with some of his posse as well. So can you talk about that relationship been able to develop with him? And he's certainly not an industry plant. He's a true fan.
Yeah, he's definitely not an industry plant. I've been following him for, gosh, I don't even know how long because he's a Philly Twitter guy is what he's been this whole time. And I'm a Philly guy, and I'm on Twitter a lot. So I know for a fact he's not a plant. He just happened to shoot a tweet one day that got out there, and I responded. We ended up going go-kart racing, and now we're close, yeah.
Well, Stephen Mallozzi's Xfinity Series debut is today. Stephen, proud of you, man. Best of luck today.
Thank you. Appreciate it, and hope to be on the show again soon, man.
The Xfinity Series race was a classic battle between some of the best in the division. Cole Custer, the defending series champ, got the win, but Justin Allgaier gave him one heck of a fight. Here's Allgaier discussing where he went wrong as he came home second and battled Hendrick Motorsports Cup driver William Byron.
How was the tire wear today? Because you were able to hold off the 17 at the end.
Yeah, I mean, William cut me a break for sure. I mean, I obviously I think he was learning for tomorrow. That whole Hendrick team does a great job, all the 17 guys. I mean, we work really closely with them and have a lot of respect for them and what they do, and they help us a lot when they can. So, I know that, he definitely pushed at the end there a lot. I think he was fighting a lot of the same balance issues that I was, unfortunately, and in dirty air, which is so hard to kind of manage. And I felt like, we did all the right things. It's going to sting for a little bit. I wish I'd have checked up a little bit more in the middle of turn 1 and got a little bit lower off the corner. I heard him go to third gear, and I kind of knew that was the end of it for me at that point. But, it's how it goes. Oh, my phone's going for a ride. It's all right.
Cole Custer does not yet know exactly where he'll be racing in 2025, but he now knows he's a 2024 NASCAR Xfinity Series winner. Custer reacts to his first victory of the campaign.
Tim Moore, Motorsports Today. Cole, congrats on the win. Back in 2019, of course, you had your first win here, but how much more meaningful is this win here tonight compared to that first time around?
Oh, I mean, both were huge, and both honestly were pretty exciting. Pretty late race cautions and things like that. So, honestly, whenever you get a win here is such a big deal because this is a hard track to win at. It's a hard track for the teams to get the car right. It's a hard track for the drivers to figure out and do their jobs. So you have to have the whole package here, and to have it all work out twice is amazing. And teams, they bring their best stuff here. It's a really aero-sensitive racetrack. Horsepower means a lot, so you're going to bring your best stuff here, and to win here really shows where your program's at, and hopefully can carry it into the playoffs.
I'm Tropper, Motorsports Today. First off, congratulations, Cole. So with Stort-Haas closing, and the sense that we know it, obviously Haas factory team, but would you say this first win of the season is a statement or an audition in any way, or just another great win?
Yeah, I mean, you audition every weekend in the Xfinity Series. That's what this series is, really. I mean, it's everybody in this series is looking to how to get to the next level. So the more you can win, the more you can win championships, the more you can show yourself that you can go out there and compete against the best. That speaks volumes. So I think we definitely have shown what we can do. We just got to try and piece everything together.
Saturday also meant it was the busiest time of the weekend for reporters like us, as the top 25 in the NASCAR Cup Series point standings stepped in for their media bullpen sessions. The first notable moment came from Bubba Wallace, who received a $50,000 fine for his post-race contact with Alex Bowman last week and offered an apology.
Penalty was probably the best thing that happened. I've been miserable for years, walking around with a persona that I'm not proud of. I apologize. I need to apologize to a lot of people, especially that are close to me. Sid, I'll start with you. Zach, you're right here. I told you to walk away last week, so apologize for that. Just frustrated and trying way too hard and not focused on the right things. And the door slam, the bump that Bowman said wasn't hard at all. For the people that for the last 4 or 5 years people want me out of the sport, right? But people don't really understand, like, when you put road courses, talk about road courses, how many years have I been in terrible road courses? 7, right? And so I've been putting my heart and soul into getting better and spending time with the team and Sim and trying to be better. Showing up Chicago, that was our best road course race ever. And to have that wiped out in 2 corners.
Nearly a week after Alex Bowman took the checkered flag in the second Chicago street race, the event remained a major talking point. Austin Cindric and Brad Keselowski weighed in on the event's long-term viability, while Keselowski also spoke about Joey Hand's impressive performance, where we might see him the rest of the year, and how he's focusing on getting Chris Buescher in the 2024 postseason.
Austin, I know you have a road course racing background, so I was just curious, after your experience last week at Chicago, what you think the long-term viability is of Chicago and street racing in general in NASCAR.
Yeah, I mean, I've always loved street course racing, but I think as an industry we definitely proved that it's something we can do for the future, really. I don't think there's a driver in the field that doesn't enjoy kind of the uniqueness of that event, being in the city, kind of having the city embrace us for the weekend, and it kind of being a bit of a different blip in the schedule as far as like your normal kind of day-to-day transitions. Even the crew guys in a lot of ways get to kind of explore a little bit more than maybe you would on a normal weekend. So, but as far as the racetrack, it's plenty big enough for us to go racing each time. So I just hope that we can go there one year and not have the crazy weather and time limitations and all that. And but otherwise, I could easily see it being kind of a classic race on the schedule.
Trackhouse really set the bar last year with Project 91 with Shane Van Gisbergen, but Joey Hand really impressed this past Sunday. How do you feel about the development of the Stage 60 car and Hand's performance?
Yeah, Joey did great. He was everything we thought he'd be, just a consummate professional. Put us in position to have a great day and a shot to win. We haven't felt like we've had the cars to win. And Joey put us in position where, we were kind of almost in some ways able to push the program forward. I thought he ran an excellent race and really proud of him.
And now 2 years into the Chicago street race, weather unfortunately a factor yet again, but what do you see about the long-term viability of street racing in Chicago and street racing in NASCAR in general?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I don't know about the economics of it with respect to NASCAR, but with the teams, of course, we see a lot of sponsorship interest, which is always great. It's kind of a fun venue to go to. Clearly, we need to race there earlier in the day. But outside of that, I think a lot of things to like about it.
Thanks, Brad.
Brad, at the road courses this season, we've seen you opt to go in Stage 2, take your stage points. You're still in that battle for the top 10. Obviously, you can flip track position this week and next week in Indianapolis. Yep. Are we going to expect much the same, considering you're still tight in that points battle?
Yeah, I mean, we're somewhat tight in the points battle to get kind of the bonus points for the playoffs. But, ultimately we want to win races too. And sometimes you got to make trade-offs to do that.
And to follow up with Eddie's question earlier, he asked about Joey Hand. Will we see more of Joey moving forward at road courses?
I hope so. I mean, I'd really like to see him run the Roval in Charlotte. But in order for that to really be a reality for us, we got to find the sponsorship to do it.
Thank you.
So, Brad, now that you got the win at Darlington locked into the playoffs, has the last few months, like that stretch since, been different for you in terms of mentality of how you race and what you need to do to keep putting yourself in a better position?
Well, certainly a lot less pressure, and a lot of focus on doing what we need to do to get Chris locked in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike the aforementioned 17 team, Daniel Suarez's 99 Trackhouse camp has known they've been in the playoffs since February. Suarez speaks about this different approach heading into Pocono race weekend.
Daniel, last year when you entered Pocono, you didn't know what your fate was with the playoffs. This year, you've known for quite a while you're going to be racing in the postseason. So how has the approach changed during the summer months this year as compared to last year?
I mean, I think you can be a little bit more aggressive in my position today, just because you know that you're already locked in and you can try different things, not just myself, but the entire team. So it's definitely nice, but we have to go out there and execute. That's the most important thing.
And Pocono is a track that you've had some success at, especially early in your career. You got your best finish here early on in your second year. What are your expectations for the weekend?
Well, hopefully we can win. It would be great. I think that we have had some more speed lately. Hopefully we can show today in practice with some more speed and capitalize.
Thanks, Daniel.
While Suarez is playoff bound, Kyle Busch and Chase Briscoe's postseason situations remain a bit more precarious. Both drivers spoke on their focus as the playoffs close in, as well as Briscoe trying to balance the future with the present.
Obviously, to get the win streak to 20 years, are there any tracks specifically that you may have marked on your calendar that you and the RCR team as a whole has a better shot to compete at?
No, I would have thought Indy, but again, our Indy test was going good and then it didn't end well. So, other than that, obviously Daytona's a crapshoot. Anybody's race there. So I would say those two, probably Daytona more.
So if you're transitioning over to JGR and Toyota next year, have you been exchanging any information with your potential new teammates or organization, or are you still fully in on Ford and just being able to conclude your SHR tenure as best as possible?
Yeah, I mean, my job is to drive the 14 cars. So, yeah, until November and Phoenix ends, then that's when I'll start focusing on the JDR stuff and all that. So, yeah, right now, full focus is just the 14 car and trying to get them in the playoffs. I've been at JGR one time, obviously, for the announcement. Outside of that, I haven't even been there. So, yeah, just trying to focus on the 14, the Stewart Haas, the Ford, and all that. And like I said, once we get through Phoenix and stuff, then we'll start focusing on next year.
And how are you feeling about your chances to get into the playoffs, being on the bubble, and just the tracks that are coming up? Pocono and Indy are obviously pretty similar, and then you have only a few other races after that.
Yeah, it's definitely getting tougher and tougher as the weeks go on. For us, I thought we were in a pretty good position to kind of point our way in, and then when Joey won it definitely changed some things up. So, realistically, we could maybe point our way in now, but it's probably going to take a win. So we, as bad as that is, it does kind of open up the playbook a little bit, especially these next couple of weeks where there's so much strategy involved. We can kind of swing for the fences and, know if we have a bad points day because it doesn't work out, then it doesn't really end our season. So we just got to go for wins. That's what we're trying to do.
It's hard enough to win in the NASCAR Cup Series. It's even harder when you're a new father. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. talked about being the newest dad in the garage.
Ricky, how's becoming a father recently been affecting managing your time, like with your team, and just in terms of your mentality on the track?
Yeah, so, I called into our debrief on Tuesday instead of getting up and going into the shop. I take the night shift, let my wife sleep a little bit at night. And, so it's definitely changed, trying to figure out when I'm going to get my workouts in, based off of how much sleep I got that night has been, probably the biggest adjustment, throughout this whole process. But I went to the shop on Thursday, flew up with the team on Friday, and, we're a week into this thing. So, still just trying to get that, solid schedule down. The baby's changed quite a bit in a week. So it's been fun, though.
A big storyline entering the weekend is that another Stewart Haas Racing free agent is off the board. Noah Gragson heading to Front Row Motorsports to partner with his former truck teammate Todd Gilliland. Todd speaks on their relationship and what to expect at the tricky triangle.
Staying on the truck side of things, you and Noah Gragson used to be teammates at KBM, and now he's going to be your teammate in the Cup Series next year. So thoughts on reuniting with him as teammates next year?
Yeah, I think we've both come a long way since in the Truck Series days. Obviously, we've had our battles for sure, but I think, like I said, I think we both matured a lot. That now we're in a position where we have to lead this team in a better direction. Where at KBM, I felt like we got there and obviously it's a well-known truck organization, right, that's going to go out and compete for wins. And we were more so the younger guys that were just going to jump in and hopefully bring the speed to do that, where, now it's a much different situation, but I'm really excited about it. And, seeing the speed that he's had on the track and that we've had recently, I definitely think we're going to be in a pretty good spot come next year.
And you've been here twice before in the Cup Series. Obviously, Pocono's a unique track, and the craziest thing is those restarts. So how do you take advantage of those restarts if people are fanning out 4 or 5 wide?
Yeah, it's a lot about, thinking further ahead, I feel like, here at Pocono. Just, on the front stretch, it seems like a good idea a lot of the times, right, to kind of duck out of line, get to the bottom 3 wide. But, the straightaways are so long, the draft is still really important that, and by the time you get to turn 1 or even to turn 2, a lot of the times you've lost more than you're going to gain, right? So you have to think more so long term, in my opinion, and it's easier said than done for sure, because usually there's an opportunity that's right in front of you that you feel like you could take and gain, but like I said, you just have to think more long term.
With the return of the Brickyard 400 next weekend, is there anything drivers can take from Pocono and apply to Indianapolis? Brad Keselowski and Kyle Larson, both champions of the sport, had very different opinions.
They say Pocono and Indy are very similar in terms of track style. At least one of the turns is modeled after Indy. Yeah. So with the races being back-to-back weeks, do you see any advantage or anything that you can learn from one week into the next?
Yeah, I mean, definitely a lot of things carry over between the two tracks. Indy's a lot smoother than Pocono is, particularly to that corner. But the things you look for to have a fast race car, and the aero and the engine and the way you drive the car.
I don't think there's anything similar to it. So, like even the corner that they say is modeled off of it does not. It's not. So, but I'm sure there's something to always be taken from each weekend. So I'm sure that the team will learn something. But we'll see. I don't know. I didn't get to do the test or anything like that, but. I think our cars have been pretty good on your bigger style tracks, so I would hope that we're strong next week as well.
After missing the playoffs last year, Chase Elliott is in a heated battle for the regular season championship. Elliott talks about approaching that challenge, as well as the changes to Pocono with the next-gen car.
Chase, you just mentioned the regular season battle. You're right in the thick of it with 6 races to go. So with the different array of tracks, how are you feeling in terms of your team's capability to be able to pull it off and get all 15 extra points?
I feel good about it. I think that, like I said, I think it's probably going to take another win or two, to win that deal. Mm-hmm. I don't think you're going to win. I don't feel like you're going to win that or the big championship without winning, some more. So, really just eyes set on trying to get to victory lane, and the rest of it it totally figures itself out, if you're doing your job elsewhere. So I really don't put a lot of thought into it, truthfully. I just try to focus week to week on getting better and, putting ourselves in position to win and doing it often, because if you're doing that, it's going to shake out like it's supposed to.
And in terms of getting points the next 2 weeks, Pocono and Indy are pretty similar in the fact, one, the turns are similar, but two, just how big the track is. So do you see any benefit for potentially trying to flip the stages, or what do you think the key strategy is going to be for either you or the rest of the field?
Yeah, I mean, minimal time on pit road in both of the events I think is going to be crucial. But historically, to your point, I do think that good runs at Pocono have often meant good runs at Indy, in the sport's history. Now, whether that continues forward with this generation car or not, I'm not sure. But I do think that there are a lot of similarities, particularly turn 3. Here, just the amount of banking you have, et cetera, can certainly translate. So curious to find out. We'll see.
Appreciate it.
Chase, on that subject, this is your 3rd time here with the next gen car. What's the biggest difference you've seen racing at this track in the next gen than Gen 6?
Really anywhere that we go that the bumps are a factor, which they are here, through the tunnel, are just treacherous. You're really pushing travels with these cars. They make a lot of downforce the lower the back of the car is. So the lower you get, the more car potential you have. On the flip side of that, the lower you get, the closer you are to those shock stops, and when you bottom this thing out, it can be pretty ugly. So it's just a really fine line of trying to, manage a design flaw, basically.
It's Martin Truex Jr.'s final race at Pocono Raceway. I spoke to the 2017 NASCAR Cup Series champion about whether this track deserves a second date.
Eddie Kalegi, Motorsports Today. Martin, when you started your career, a lot of these home tracks for you, Pocono, Dover, New Hampshire, they had 2 dates. Now, last season of your career, they all got 1. For Pocono Raceway in particular, is this a track you'd like to see get a second date again at some point?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how much things have changed over the years with the schedule, especially, and all the new tracks we've gone to in the last handful of years. But yeah, this place has been a staple for a long time. I enjoy coming here, and been coming up this way for a long time. So I don't know. I feel like the future is probably 1 race everywhere, and not so much 2 anymore. But yeah, it's great that we still come here, and it's a very unique track and a lot of fun.
Tim Moore, Motorsports Today. Just to follow up with Eddie's question, when you started your career here, it was 2 500-mile races. As time's gone on now, just 1 160-lap race. Energy-wise, how much does a track like this take out of you as years have gone on?
I would say this is probably one of the easier ones from the standpoint of just the wear and tear as a driver. You got the long straightaways to kind of relax, and it's it's kind of a laid-back race except for restarts. Restarts mentally challenge you more than anything. But physicality of this place is kind of low on the lower side of some of the tracks we go to, I would say.
So, Martin, one of your career-defining wins was your first win with Furniture Row Racing here back in 2015. So now, with this being your final full-time season, seeing your name printed on the start-finish line, what are the emotions just being here again? And are there any memories or takeaways from that win that you take with you into now?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, all the wins are great memories over the years, but that one definitely was a big one for us as a team. It really kind of jump-started a really good couple of years together. So, yeah, really good memories about that one, and I think in 2018 as well, went in here with that same group. So, got a lot of great memories here. We've had some heartbreakers as well. A few that got away over the years, but last year we were very strong here, and looking forward to hopefully being able to get a checker flag tomorrow. That's what we're here to do, and I feel good about that. I feel great about our team and what we've been doing lately, and we've had a lot of speed. We just need to capitalize on it, so hopefully we can do that tomorrow.
Despite some rain and some heavy traffic, it took us almost 3 hours to get to the track Sunday morning. But the race was on. Pocono Raceway NASCAR Cup Series, but the race was short-lived for Noah Gragson, who had a problem early in the race. Gragson spoke on what happened.
We were pretty tight yesterday in practice and in qualifying, so we made a pretty big swing at it to free up for today, loosen up, and definitely started the race out pretty loose, and it got a little worse through turns 1 and turn 3. So with it heat so early in the race, I'm just trying to make laps and get to the first stage at the end of lap 30, and then we can work on it. Just trying to be patient, but just stepped out and there's nothing I can do.
After a relatively calm first 2 stages, a lot of chaos broke out in stage 3, and it all started after Todd Gilliland had a brake rotor failure. Here's what Todd had to say.
Todd, what happened? Did you see it coming?
I didn't, yeah. I had a little bit of brake shake kind of all through practice and the beginning part of the race. So, yeah, I guess we had some sort of issue, but I really didn't think it was going to blow a rotor. I've never had that before, but, yeah, that's part of it, right? We've had very few mechanical issues in my whole time in front row, so, yeah, we'll just have to learn from them for next time.
But this time at the Tricky Triangle, it wasn't Denny Hamlin who was the talking point of the race. Rather, it was a major pile-up on a restart in Stage 3 triggered by Corey LaJoie that added to the frustration of Kyle Busch's already disappointing season. Busch didn't mince words in his conversation with reporters afterwards.
Of course, you have mirrors and cameras and everything else, so you try to get in front of the run that's coming, and I was trying to get in front of that run, and sometimes some don't lift. Kamikaze.
It was a strategy-heavy race, but all those cautions leveled the playing field, and it was really Ford versus Chevy versus Toyota. Ford prevailed with Ryan Blaney taking the checkered flag, ahead of Denny Hamlin, Alex Bowman, William Byron, and Joey Logano. Here's what the 2nd through 5th place finishers had to say, starting with 5th place Joey Logano.
Joey, you actually just hinted on the differences between Pocono and Indy. So what could you take even more from that, and just how today's performance went, I guess, and also just going into the playoffs, only a handful of races left, what you can do to keep putting yourself in a better position.
Yeah, I mean, we sure scored some good points here today. Not that matters a whole bunch to us, but we gained some momentum. This has been, these big tracks have not been our wheelhouse, so to see some speed in our forwards, that's definitely encouraging going into the playoffs.
Well, William, you had a great day, obviously, great weekend, but is there anything you could have done differently? Just open your up.
I don't know. I think we just keep working on the little details here and there. But I thought for the most part the race went pretty well. I thought we kind of managed the whole thing because there was a lot of strategy forward and backward, and we just kind of maintained it and kept ourselves in the hunt, which is really good.
Yeah, and then going into next week, they say Pocono and Indy are very similar, especially when in terms of Pocono modeled after Indy. Is there anything from this week that you think you could carry over and learn from that can help you next week?
It's hard to say because next week is a lot smoother racetrack. So this place has a lot of character and bump content, it seems. So a lot of your issues that you fight are seam related and bump related. So it'll be tough to translate all that.
Yesterday to me just how much you want to be at redemption at this race after last season. I know it's not the win, but you're there in the mix with Denny late as well as the eventual winner of Ryan Blaney. But is it at least a little bit better feeling, even though it's not a win this week, to get that redemption?
Yeah, I think typically when we come here, we run pretty well, and we've got a lot of good finishes here. So, it would have been great to get a win, but definitely feels good to pull off a day like today. We struggled a little bit through the middle part of the day, but to end up with the top 5 is great.
And also now you guys jump time points. You guys are now inside the top 10. How big is that for you guys moving forward, going to Indy?
Yeah, I mean, that's big for the playoffs, right? It's really important. So, long way to go before the playoffs start, but those obviously pace playoff points to finish top 10 in regular season. So,
In terms of passing, any easier, any harder than the first 2 times of the next gen, or more the same?
Well, I think it becomes harder and harder because the field just keeps getting closer and closer together. So as time goes on, it's going to be more and more track position. So I just think that it's a little harder because everyone just keeps getting a little better. I thought we were really good. I thought at all facets we were really strong. The 48 just really did a good job of getting around us there on that one restart where we were battling side by side, and from that point on, I just got stuck behind them for too long.
A second win of the year for the defending Cup Series champion and a 4th win in 7 races for Team Penske. Here's the winning crew chief, Jonathan Hassler, and winning driver Ryan Blaney speaking with us post-race.
Jonathan Eddie Kalegi, congrats on the win. Pocono Raceway, especially in the stage racing era, we've seen split strategies, some people trying to flip the stages. Walk us through that side of things from your perspective today.
Yeah, it certainly played out a little bit different than we had planned. You have a plan coming in, but then, the way cautions fall certainly dictates really kind of the way everything else works out. And I think, that caution, around that 50 of the second stage really kind of diverted the strategy and spread the field out where we had an opportunity to short pit. Flip the stage there going into stage 3 and get our track position at the right time.
Hey, Kalegi, Motorsports Today, awesome job today. So you got 2 wins now, but so many of those drivers who are trying to take that title from you have 3. Bell, Larson, Hamlin, Byron. Heading to Indianapolis, you mentioned it's a big track for Roger Penske. What do you think are your chances to get that 3rd there, and is there anything from today, a similar track in some ways, that you can take with you to Indianapolis?
Yeah, hopefully we can take some speed that we learned, this weekend and apply it to Indy. It's a race to where no one really knows what to expect. We haven't been there in this car, so I think qualifying is going to be really important. Strategy is going to be wild, just like it was today, and you just hope you hit it right. So, I think there are some things you can take away from this place that applies to Indy, and hopefully the things we learned over the weekend. I thought all our cars were pretty good today. I think Joey run 5th. So all of our cars had pretty good speed today, and you try to keep figuring out, okay, what did we do good this weekend that we found since Charlotte, kind of our last 1.5 mile racetrack, and how do we continue to get better? Like, what did we do well, what worked, and then you try to tweak on that. So it's nice when things work out, when you kind of go to the racetrack and you're like, I hope this is better, because you're so little practice now. You're like, there's not a lot you can change. So it's nice that we've kind of hit it right here today, all through the weekend, and got better through the race. And hopefully we can do it again next week. That'd be a cool one. That's a place I've wanted to win. I gave a race away there in 15 on the Xfinity side, so it'd be nice to get a little redemption.
I'm Tropper, Motorsports Today. First off, congrats on the win, Ryan.
Thanks.
But it seems like the overarching theme of this is appreciating each win, and that every single one's special because you never know when it'll be your last. But with Pocono being your first, obviously the significance of that. Have you spent the last 10 or so Pocono races since then thinking, oh my God, I want to get back to victory lane at Pocono?
I try not to think of it that way. I just try to approach each weekend of let's do the best job that we can, and let's perform to the best of our ability, to my ability, to everyone on pit road's ability, and whatever happens, happens. And I really wouldn't. I don't know. Last year, I thought we had a good shot to win. I blew up leading. But other than that, last year and this year, I never really felt like, man, I got a great shot to win the day. I always thought we were a top 3 to 5 car at best, but never thought we had a race-winning car. So I try not to get too hung up in man, I won my first race here. I really want to win here again. You always want to win at every racetrack again, or for the first time. So you just try to do the best that you can each given weekend, no matter if you have won here before or not. And I try to approach each weekend the same.
And in the spirit of that, you're already a champion, but you just mentioned Indy. What's next on the bucket list in terms of goals for you?
Indy.
Okay, then.
That's the next one.
Congrats again on the win.
Thank you.
We'll go to Tim.
Tim Moore, Motorsports Today. Congrats on the win, Ryan.
Thanks.
When you look at it, it's been 13 years since Team Penske has won a race here, back with Brad Keselowski in 2011. I know you said it's very hard to top that first career win here, but does that mean anything extra for the organization moving forward, considering it's been a very long time?
Yeah, I definitely think so. It's nice when you can win at tracks that you haven't won at in a while as a company and as a group, because there are some tracks to where teams perform better than others. It's just kind of a given thing. Ever since we went to Gateway, I feel like our team has been the best at Gateway, where others have struggled. And that applies to places to where we've just not been good as a group, and it's just the philosophy of what we do as a team. Maybe it doesn't work for that track. And this place has kind of been one of those, man, what do we got to do to figure this place out? As a whole group and as a mindset of how we approach the weekend and how we set our cars up. So you're always working at that, and it's nice. It's fulfilling when you can do that, and it shows that all your hard work meant something, So that part is good. It's something they should be proud of at Team Penske, that all their hard work has meant something, and they did a good job. They had a task. We have to get better here, and they achieved that task. And that is the most fulfilling thing ever. So they should be proud of that.
And that concluded a remarkable weekend for Motorsports Today at the Tricky Triangle. Again, thank you to WRSU, to NASCAR, and to Pocono Raceway for making this possible. We're truly grateful for all the connections we made, the people we met, and we hope to get out to the track more soon.